When it comes to rating a fighter's achievements in the sport of boxing, fans are never short of an opinion, especially when it comes to the legends. And even as of today, Iron Mike Tyson drums up a lot of conversation. The man formerly known as Kid Dynamite speaks his mind and never really changed in that sense.
When I was hitting him with body punching, I heard him, actually he was crying in there, making woman gestures like, I can't find it, but I knew that he was breaking down soon.
Most critics, however, tend to overlook Tyson's greatness in the ring, personally because of their lack of context or appreciation of what Iron Mike brought, not just to the sport of boxing, but also to pop culture as the baddest man on the planet. So how good was Mike Tyson really? Hey guys, this is Boxing Subjective Observer and welcome back to Ringside Stories. Feel free to like and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the content. In today's episode, we're discussing Mike Tyson's top 5 best wins. Mind you, this is my personal opinion, so feel free to add yours in the comment section below. Let's get into it. Number 5. Frank Bruno 2. March 16, 1996. Mark Tyson's third fight since his release from prison. After disposing his 2 previous opponents, Iron Mike looked to become a 2-time heavyweight world champion as he fought England's Frank Bruno for the second time. Their first fight in February of 1989 was an exciting ebb and flow of action, where Tyson dropped Bruno in the first minute of the fight. Bruno gave a good account of himself until Tyson took him out in the 5th and successfully retained the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. Coming into the rematch, the Brit was on a 4-fight winning streak, collecting the WBC title from Oliver McCall, who upset Lennox Lewis in September of 1994. And the experience Bruno gained from fighting Lennox Lewis himself, I think, made him a better fighter even though he lost. Unfortunately, this fight wasn't as good a performance, as the newly crowned WBC champion focused more on not getting hit than he did fighting. When Tyson found his opening in the 3rd, the fight was pretty much over. Years later, Frank Bruno would admit he'd rather fight Lennox Lewis 5 times a week than he would like to fight Mike Tyson once a year. And that's why I include the Bruno rematch on this list, because although Iron Mike had already lost, he still had an aura about him that instilled fear into his opponents. And sure, Frank Bruno fought better first time around. However, this was a Bruno who had only lost to current or former champions, who had campaigned as a top-level heavyweight for years, and this was a Frank Bruno who put up a more than valiant effort against all-time great heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis. After the loss in the Tyson rematch, Frank Bruno retired from the sport of boxing. Number 4. Larry Holmes. On January 22, 1988, Iron Mike Tyson put his undisputed championship on the line against former lineal heavyweight world champion Larry Holmes. The Eastern Assassin emerged as by far the best heavyweight in the immediate post-Muhammad Ali era, being the only man in history to ever stop Ali, which included an impressive 48-0 run, before losing to Michael Spinks twice. Some boxing fans actually think Holmes won both Spinks fights, although Holmes was clearly troubled by some ring rust after a 2-year absence. The former champion showcased his savviness in spots, coming out on his toes at the start of round 4, reminiscent of the Eastern Assassin from old, which got the crowd excited for a moment. Then later in the round, Tyson managed to find his range, landing a big overhand right that hurt Larry Holmes. With his legs gone from under him, Tyson struck while the iron was hot. Holmes beat the count for a second time and did his best to stay on his feet, but Tyson wasn't going to let his man off the hook, as he attacked with a series of hooks that eventually KO'd Larry Holmes. Now, to be fair, Larry Holmes was past his best and came out of a near 2-year retirement for this fight. That's why I haven't put this win higher on the list. That said, the Eastern Assassin proved to be a solid contender for years after beating the likes of former WBO champion Ray Mercer before unsuccessfully challenging for 2 world titles against undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield in 1992 and 3 years later against Oliver McCall in 95. Besides, we are talking about an all-time great heavyweight champion here in Larry Holmes, who held the WBC title from 1978 to 1983, the Ring/Lineal Championship from 1980 to 1985, and the IBF Heavyweight World Title from 1983 to 1985. By many boxing fans, Larry Holmes is regarded as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, who has been inducted in both the International and the World Boxing Hall of Fame. Mike Tyson is the only fighter to ever stop the Eastern Assassin. Number 3. Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. On March 18, 1991, Mike Tyson took on Jamaican-Canadian Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. In the late 80s, Ruddock emerged as a usual suspect in the heavyweight top 10, scoring back-to-back stoppage wins over former champions Michael Dokes and James "Bone Crusher" Smith. Ruddock and Tyson were universally ranked as number 2 and 1 by all major sanctioning bodies, so this fight was a final title eliminator, and sure lived up to its promise. Round 1 had both guys coming for each other's throat, Ruddock trying to catch the former Undisputed Heavyweight King with a left uppercut. As per usual, Tyson jabbed his way inside in order to make up for the 11-inch reach disadvantage. Round 3 ended with Ruddock tagging Tyson with 3 power shots before getting nailed by a Tyson left hook counterpunch, which sent him to the canvas. By the mid-rounds, both power punches were engaged in a heavyweight slugfest, and Ruddock started to find his mark at mid-range, tagging Tyson with hooks and uppercuts. At the end of round 6, Ruddock hit Tyson flush, with Iron Mike standing up against the onslaught, even taunting the Canadian. Then in the next round, Tyson connected with a 2-punch combination to body and head, followed by 4 hooks in quick succession. And when referee Richard Steele saw that Razor Ruddock did not respond to these punches, he decided to put a halt to the fight. Mike Tyson beat a highly touted, hard-hitting Donovan "Razor" Ruddock via 7th round technical knockout. Maybe a bit premature, which justified the immediate rematch 3 months later. Number 2. Tony Tucker. August 1st, 1987. Unified WBA and WBC heavyweight champion Mike Tyson took on undefeated IBF heavyweight world champion Tony TNT Tucker in a fight that would decide the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Tucker recently picked up the IBF version of the world title, beating James "Buster" Douglas, who later became the first fighter to ever beat Mike Tyson in one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. TNT was a conventional boxer who was able to move well around the ring, even standing at 6 foot 5 inches tall, working behind a decent jab and a good left uppercut. The first 4 rounds proved to be competitive, with Tucker keeping Tyson at bay. He also had some successes up close, as TNT caught the unified champion with an uppercut a few times. Avoiding a stylistic mismatch in close quarters, Tucker clinched Tyson for most part, clearly frustrated Tyson as he was unable to get off his fast combinations. Although the judges scored the fight in favor of Mike Tyson on wide margins, Tony Tucker gave a very good account of himself, being the only fighter next to James "Bone Crusher" Smith to go the full distance with young Mike Tyson during his first title reign. Also, Tucker had some successes and exposed some of Tyson's susceptibilities, which future opponents would be able to capitalize on. Tucker remained a top-level heavyweight for years to come, beating future WBC champion Oliver McCall, future WBA cruiserweight champion Orlin Norris, and challenged for a portion of the heavyweight world title 3 more times. As for Mike Tyson, he improved his record to 31-0, unifying the WBA, WBC, and IBF heavyweight world titles, making Iron Mike the undisputed heavyweight champion at the age of 21. Now, before I cover Tyson's best win in his career, here are some honorable mentions. Trevor Berbick, Razor Ruddock 2, Pinklin Thomas, Number 1. Michael Spinks. June 27, 1988. Mike Tyson took on undefeated former IBF and Lineal heavyweight world champion Michael Spinks. Although Tyson was the undisputed heavyweight champion, Most boxing fans considered Michael Spinks the real lineal champion as he vacated his IBF belt, remaining undefeated for all of his career when he took over the lineage from Larry Holmes in 1985. Just 3 days shy from his 22nd birthday, young Tyson immediately came after Spinks, cutting off the ring. 1 minute in, he gets Spinks onto the ropes.
But he's taking them. The uppercut. Body shot. Down goes Mike Spinks for the first time.
Spinks beat the count, but when the fight resumed, Tyson landed a devastating right hook, putting Michael Spinks on his back hard. This time, Spinks wouldn't be able to beat the count in what would be Michael Spinks' final professional fight. Now, detractors will criticize Tyson, saying that Michael Spinks truly was a light heavyweight. And you know what? They're correct. However, they should also mention that Michael Spinks cleaned out the light heavyweight division, becoming undisputed champion, defending against 10 different fighters. Going up to heavyweight, he stopped former top contender Jerry Cooney after beating all-time great heavyweight Larry Holmes twice, winning the IBF and Ring/Lineal championships. Michael Spinks is an all-time great certified Hall of Famer who was undefeated in 31 fights. And Mike Tyson knocked him out in 91 seconds, becoming the undisputed lineal heavyweight champion of the world when he was just 3 days shy of turning 22 years old. Now, when I go online these days, there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding on Mike Tyson. The notion that once he stepped up against the very best, he lost every time. Well, to that I say, almost every great boxing champion in history has suffered losses, including champions who lost at the hands of fighters who are far from Hall of Fame level. Well, Mike Tyson also happened to lose against other Hall of Famers, including all-time greats. Prior to the losses, Tyson was a dominant champion. In his first title reign from 1986 to 1990, Iron Mike beat every single opponent there was, more often than not in devastating fashion. Now, his resume does lack more all-time great wins or wins over Hall of Famers. However, Iron Mike was undisputed, the best of his era. And in his prime, Tyson reached iconic status, feared and respected by people all over the world who also lost 4 years of his career due to a prison sentence. Still, Mike Tyson managed to regain 2 legit titles when he came out of prison when most considered him to be out of his prime. So although Mike Tyson isn't the greatest heavyweight of all time, he still fought 10 reigning heavyweight world champions, including 4 Hall of Famers, and arguably all of them are all-time greats in their own right. I think Mike Tyson in his prime would be a problem for any heavyweight champion in history. And in my opinion, Tyson ranks among the top 20, maybe top 15 in boxing's glamour division, which has been around for over a century. So how do I rate Mike Tyson in a nutshell? Not the best, not the worst heavyweight champion ever, and even a bit underrated rather than overrated. What are your thoughts on Mike Tyson's career? Which do you consider his best wins? Drop your comments below and let's have a conversation. Feel free to like and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the content. This is Boxing's Objective Observer with ringside stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.